Welcome. It's time for our tech discussion, and we're discussing digital media and the growth of tech in Nigeria with Oluwaseun Imade. You are welcome. Good to have you here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for
I
having
read
me.
your rap sheet.
Yes.
Not the one where you were in jail. I'm joking, but I see that you've done quite a lot.
Well, I try.
Oh, you try. You tried now.
I tried.
Good to have you here.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you
why
for
we
having
always
me.
like to have professionals in
Of
the
course.
building. And today we're talking about the growth of tech in Nigeria. First off, this tech we're talking about, we're talking about digital. Or can you define digital exactly what you mean by digital? Let's make that platform before we go into it.
So, I mean, when you speak about digital media, of course, people definitely just, maybe just segment it or just box it into social media, marketing or things like that, or is it Instagram and Twitter and things like that. But I mean, it's beyond that, right? There are many innovations that are coming out today. You have, aside the Instagram, aside the Twitter, you have the blogs, you have, even digital marketing itself encompasses, a lot of these things. So you have things like, ChatGPT, you have like, there are many, ways that digital media is really revolutionizing how people sort of interact with, with information basically, and they consume information, so to speak, yeah.
So are we using it, would you say, at par with the rest of the world? Is Nigeria developing that fast along that
I
line?
mean, we are a developing country, right? I think the rate of penetration, I think, as at early 2023 was about 55. It's debatable, but it's about 55% of Nigeria's total population, which is about 229 million thereabout, right? So that's a lot of people, right? And it's a lot of things to basically consider. But are we using it at par with the rest of what? I wouldn't say so, because then you have to think about people who are educated, versus people who are uneducated. Then you have to think about people who are digital natives, because you then have to learn how to use like these platforms, or you learn how to use digital platforms and things like that, or even internet penetration, at the end of the day. But yeah, are we using it as the rest of the world? No, but internet penetration is growing, and just digital media penetration is growing really, really, really fast.
So with digital media, Nigerians, we're always very fast to adopt anything. In fact, if it happens in abroad today, in the next like 6 hours, we're already...
I think it depends on the demographic.
Yeah, but we are a young demographic.
Yeah.
I mean, most people who actually use data are very young, and that's why the penetration is that deep. Like you said, early 2023 is about 55%. Now, however, what are we using it for? Are we using it to say, hey, hi, look at my new stuff here? Or are we actually using it to monetize? Are we monetizing it and changing it to money? Is it making profit for us? Or is it just the glow and glitz of social media that we're mainly using?
So I think there is a good balance in how we are using it, right? I know a lot of people want every single person on digital, particularly a lot of motivational speakers are always like, what are you using your digital platform for? What are you doing with your life and things like that? But personally, I'm like, we are already dealing with a lot of pressure as it is as young people, where you have Mark Zuckerberg already a billionaire artist, before he's 30 and all of that. So I'm like, I'm not one to put pressure, on a lot of young people as regards to how they're using their platforms. I mean, you would always have consumers, people who are there to live life. Nigeria is already very, very stressful, right? So I'm not going to add to your stress and be like, you should be using this. Of course you should be, but if what you need right now, you're in the space of your life where you need to be a consumer, please consume. But I think it's also important to know that there are many other things that you can do on set platforms, across different platforms, that could take you from point A to point B. I've seen the media literally change people's lives in less than 24 hours. I think we've all seen it here in the space, right? And you don't, and it's such that, and the idea of even digital media is that it has taken the institutionalization of a lot of things, right? You don't need to, have connections, or you don't need to, say, maybe let me use EduTech as an instance now. Before you went to class, was whatever your teacher said that you sort of bought into, right? He was the smartest. There was this level of certainty, that he presented. You took his word as law.
Now you can challenge that.
Exactly, because like even you don't, classes, even COVID sort of necessitated or just hasten that process of, I don't have to be in the class. And because that man is taken away from there, I have to find other ways to reach that place of certainty, so that when I go back into class, I'm not like bombarded and like I'm not shaking up. And that very nature of those things that happened creates innovation, right? So how can we better create experiences for people? And just even that base idea of, oh, he's looking for certainty is what a lot of business are exploiting and building, multi-million-dollar enterprises from.
Now, COVID, like you said, really accelerated all of this, especially here in Nigeria. We were exposed to much more than we thought that we could use social media for. When it comes to e-commerce as well, people jump on social media, digital media, to actually help aid their businesses. Mostly young people, like you said. If you remove COVID, however, where would Nigeria be, in your opinion?
I think it would have slowed the pace of things. It would have slowed the pace, or the pace of adoption, so to speak, would have been slower, right? But it hastened a lot of things, right? And I mean, there are many good things that happened with COVID, but COVID also made a lot of people make a lot of wrong predictions, because they saw, you know, it was like, you know, there's this thing that where you make like excess money, and like, oh, this is going to keep going on, because people then realize what is going on. But you have to understand that we are also, in terms of biopsychology and just the way people are, you understand, they still want to revert back to things that are setting to them. You get what I mean? Which also then affects the metrics in terms of like how things are, you know, adopted and things like that. As much as, yes, COVID accelerated a lot of things, it also doesn't mean that those things would inherently just be here and stay, and then that would be how COVID created, like, this thing is actually possible. But, you know, they were good and bad.
It was a very interesting time, COVID.
It was.
Like I said, this was going to be it. This, if you made money, then you were like, I'm a constant.
It's forever. I mean,
then
I was
again,
one
it
of
just
them.
slowly came back down to normal.
I mean, of course.
But there are many, very many advances that helped us with. You talked about the future. Let's talk about GPT. Did you hear what I said?
GPT, yeah.
Chat GPT.
I know that's what you meant.
But Chat GPT is one of the biggest discoveries lately. I cannot tell you how I use it. Best man understands. I cannot tell you how I use Chat GPT. But have we really understood the potential of Chat GPT for us as Nigerians? And what are the drawbacks, if there are any?
I mean, it's artificial intelligence, right? I wouldn't go too deep into the idea of artificial intelligence, but it basically helps you think. Imagine like a thinking person without sort of like morality, so to speak. It's sort of exactly. You sort of let loose. Are people using it? Yes, we are learning. I think that as much as the machine is learning, you are also learning, you know, learning how to use it, and that's
from the inputs that you put in there.
Exactly.
If another person comes along and does anything similar, asks another input that's similar,
exactly,
it already has.
Exactly, and that's just the nature of you know, artificial intelligence, and that's the basis on which ChatGPT is.
You think it could go wrong?
Of course, I think it could go wrong.
What are your biggest fears? Will it hack our accounts?
I mean,
will it turn everything upside down?
So I wouldn't go that far. Do I think it's dangerous? Yes, but I also think it was created, and the same in any way that even the Bible that God created us, it can still be, you know, we can still pull the plug. But then again, you know, I can't speak directly to the exact advances that have been made there, but I know there are many high-powered people who are against the acceleration of artificial intelligence in itself. I can only speak to ChatGPT making a lot of our lives easier.
And losing a lot of jobs too, because it's already happening.
I mean, so I was with a friend the other day who was gonna let one of his staff go because
you see what I'm saying? But in any case, we've come to the end of the segment. It's always very interesting having you on, and talking with you is like, I love it. I want to have my final one. What are you? Are you a Terminator generation or Matrix generation? The way AI might go, which are you?
I feel I'm leaning more Matrix.
A little more Matrix. I'm more Terminator.
Of course you are.
In any case, you guys, do stay tuned. We've got more coming your way. Got just a bit to go. And then we'll be in the kitchen tasting some of that lovely stuff we're smelling already. Stay tuned. We'll be back on Wake Up Nigeria.